what do you think is the reason you're this active, even though you're 77?
The age is just a number. It's what you accomplish or it's what you do with your life.
Could you tell us a little more about dieting? Like, is that important?
And I haven't eaten rice for the last 10 years.
What do you think the younger ones are missing today?
For our generation now, it's a communication. There is so little communication with a young one to their parents, to their grandparents, or to family members. And they always said, if your children doesn't end up in jail, you must have done something right.
So what would you say is your biggest regret in life?
So I said, I'm going to be a midwife. And that's my only regret if I think about it. What would happen if I went to school, if I graduated being a midwife? That's my only regret, that I didn't go back to school.
First, I want to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to talk to you. We really appreciate that. Thank you.
Wow, it's an honor to talk to you, and I'm happy if I could be any help to what we're going to do or tape today.
Excellent. Do you want to tell us your name, please?
My name is Sally Bader. It's not a Filipino last name, but because I'm married to a German fellow Canadian, so yeah, that's where Bader comes from.
Thank you. Sally, how old are you?
I'm 77 and going to 78.
Wow. How, like, that's like, you don't look it. What's like being 77 like?
Well, for me, 77 or any kind of age is just a number. It's how you make out of your age and what you do with your age, I guess, that keep you young.
Excellent. So what do you think is the reason you're this active, even though you're 77?
Well, I volunteer every day, different places, and that kept me going every day. I only worked 3 years in Canada. Then I had my children, and I volunteer, starting one a day a week, and then it goes on and goes on. And up to this time, I'm volunteering. So, yeah, it gives me something to look forward to and to be meeting other people every day in different places that I volunteer.
Wow, that's interesting. So you said you worked like 3 years in Canada. Do you mean like you only worked for 3 years in the professional world and then you kind of found volunteering, socializing, getting inspiration from this quite helpful? Is that?
Well, when I worked for 3 years and then I got married and we talked about it, do we want children or do we want to work? And we said, no, we cannot do both. So we decided to have children, which is, we don't have no regret about it. So since then, I figured, okay, I don't want to bring my children to a babysitter. And so I look after the children. And as they get older, I volunteer at school and things like that. And I said, well, maybe when they're teenager, I could go back to work. But then, no, they needed more attention or supervision, a teenager. So I just went from there, volunteering different places.
Excellent. That's a huge sacrifice. I see that. Thank you very much for sharing that. You have achieved a lot of success. What would you say is your proudest accomplishment?
Well, I think bringing up my children, and they always said, if your children doesn't end up in jail, you must have done something right. So they're both very successful, and now I have 4 grandchildren. And yes, I think that's one of the big accomplishment that my husband and I did. I don't know if it has something to do not working and having a full supervision for them, but I think it helped.
Wow, I love that. I think I will agree with you on that. What do you think the younger ones are missing today?
I think for our generation now, it's a communication. There is so little communication with a young one to their parents, to their grandparents, or to family members. Because with all these things we're having, all this gadget and everywhere you go, nobody's talking, restaurants or family gathering. They're just focusing in their cell phone, and there's no communication there. I might be from the old school, but yes, even adults nowadays, there's no time. You can sit in the restaurant and see husband and wife not talking because of the paying attention. So I think not just the young generation, I think in general, what's happening to us is less communication.
I think I quite agree with that. Honestly, this is really a good tips. What do you think? Like, what is being older like, and what is the truth you think people should know about life?
Well, like I said, the age is just a number. It's what you accomplish or it's what you do with your life. You can be any kind of age, but if you have some accomplishment, you kind of forget that number. You kind of forget that age and just said, oh, this feels good. I did something good. Oh, I contribute something to the community. So I think that is what kind of part of the getting old. So you kind of forget about that because you kind of figure, oh, I done something right today. Not only to the community, to your family, looking after the children if you're needed there and things like that.
Wow, I like that. So, what would you say is your biggest regret in life?
Well, I always thought about it that I just finished graduating high school when I came to Canada. And living here, you have to work. So I didn't have the chance to go back to school. And then after 3 years, I got married. Again, I didn't get back to school. And when I was young in my elementary, I always said, I want to be a midwife. Because I like children, I like delivering children, not delivering, but I like, yes, or spending time with them. So I said, I'm going to be a midwife. And that's my only regret if I think about it. What would happen if I went to school, if I graduated being a midwife? That's my only regret, that I didn't go back to school.
Okay. So, from what I can see here, family is everything, and you cherish family a lot, which is quite good. You've made a lot of sacrifices, for family, and looking at your children, you're kind of, yes, I am really proud. So younger ones are going to be watching this, they are listening to us and all of those things. What message do you have for them?
Well, I think for the young generation, doesn't matter what group age, number one is focus on your parents, because they're the one that look after you, that brought you here. And I think when the young generation start having this feeling, they will, as they get older, they will bring this to them. And when by that time their parents need attention, they will focus on that and say, yeah, I was brought up this way, and I think I'm going to look after my parents as they get older. If the young generation will have this once in a while in their mind and say, my parents are looking after me now, what can I do when they get old? Because what's happening, the way we live here is, as the parents get older, the Canadian way of living is, first thing they're going to look is for a senior home. My generation, or the way I was brought up, we don't have that. So I think that's what for young generation should be, a little bit focusing and say, I don't know if that will change, because as they get years by years, the older people goes to nursing home, to older folks home earlier than before. So I don't know if that will help, if the young generation will be starting thinking about that now.
It's actually very powerful. Culturally, I think we are like, in Nigeria, it's pretty much like we don't have the homes. It's about, kids looking after their parents, and here it's a different thing. So I think I kind of agree with you, and yeah, Younger ones, I hope listening to this message is very important. Yeah. So, if you were to be maybe younger, what would you have done differently?
When I'm younger, I think because I'm always a sport minded and I always like physical things, maybe like if I'm younger in grade school, in high school and things like that, I would like competing in things. I'm very competitive in everything, even on my age now, even playing games with my family, I get all excited if I'm losing or I get all, yeah. So I'm very competitive in general. So I think if I'm younger or I'm in school or I would be putting myself into track and field or swimming lessons and swimming competition because I'm very competitive. So I like that. I like something sports, and I think that's also what lacking in our young generation. If they don't have the money, they could not sign up for hockey or football because there's money lacking. So the children end up just sitting at home or with their cell phone. I think that's a very big important things for the generation now. But if I could look back when I was young, that's what I would like to do, to be in a competition.
Excellent. That's very wonderful. So this question just came to my mind now. I looked at you again and I'm like, okay, so you're just 3 years away from 80 years. And to be honest, Sally, you don't look it. So like you don't look it at all. So these secrets will be quite helpful for people. I've seen that when it comes to sports, exercising and all of those things, you're there. Could you tell us a little more about dieting? Like, is that important? And, how have you, managed this?
Yes, that's a good question because you could be very active physically, but if you don't look after what you put in your mouth to your stomach, it doesn't help, or vice versa, right? So yeah, it's a combination. I'm very particular in eating, number one, and I think that helped me staying on the weight I want. It is very important of what you put in your body or in your, it's not like just for you to look nice and sexy and things like that. It's nothing like that. It's physically. And I'm very proud of myself that I'm maintenance free. I don't believe or I don't take anything, even Tylenol and things like that. And I think that helps a lot of what you eat, of what you put in your body. Because let's face it, as it digests, it goes all over kidney and lungs and all these things. So if early or as younger that could avoid that, what's their intake, I think it pays off as they get older, that they don't have to worry about, I have to supplement medication because I'm this and this and that. Personally, or for myself, I think that is what it counts as I was younger. It's not that I go crazy about it and things like that, but it makes a big difference of your intake because let's face it.
Yeah, I agree with you, honestly. Like, how many times a day do you eat?
Oh, the healthy way, like they're saying, instead of eating 3 big meal, you eat 5 times small meal because it give time to digest. But breakfast is the most important food of the day. That they say, "Oh, I'm not hungry today. I'm not going to have breakfast," which is wrong. So yeah, instead of eating 3 times a day, I will have 5 times, but it's all a small portion. So that gives you, your intake give time to digest, that it doesn't turn into fat. So and then in between, you're working out. So yeah, so whatever you intake is being taken care of and then you get physically fit and not just the way you look, but inside.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of good. So what I can take from all of this is the dieting is important, exercising is important, And the social therapy is also equally important. Volunteering helps you to socialize, get out there, meet people, talk to people, not to be on phone all the time, and all of these things. So these three components are kind of key to longevity, and you've really, really, nailed it. So what's your, talking about dieting, and then this brings me to the next question. What's your best Canadian food?
Well, there again, I, like I said, I eat very little. I eat more vegetable, but I eat meat with for protein. But yeah, I like turkey. But again, turkey only pretty well eat in Christmas and Thanksgiving. So yeah, I kind of balance it. Like if I have a meat, I will have vegetable on the side and things like that. But nothing really in particular favorite, because I will eat it. But like example is Filipinos, they eat, I guess, like Nigerian, 3 times a day of rice. Yeah. And I haven't eaten rice for the last 10 years because of the carbohydrates, and then it turned to fat and all these things. So yeah, it's not that I suffer, it's just become a habit that I will not eat it because it will just turn to carbohydrates. So there's 4 carbohydrates that you could avoid in order not to get fat, like pasta and rice and things like that. So yeah.
Wow, I just got one secret today. This is wonderful. Rice, okay. For the past 10 years?
Yeah.
Interesting. This is good. Okay, as we wrap up, Sally, if there's one thing you have the power to change on this planet Earth, what would that one thing be?
Well, I am from an old school that I believe that if you don't have the money, then don't spend it. If you don't have the money, don't go on holiday and pay now, pay later. Because that will add in a person's stress. And the stress, it turn in, you don't get well, you get sick because you're stressed. So I think for me, if I could change it, that people could learn just to spend what they earn, I think they'll have a good life. And that's number one I advise my children too. And I think I did good on that one, that if you start early, like for your age at young, aim an age and say by 55, I should be death free. Then you have the rest of your life to enjoy. You have the rest of your life to enjoy your children. That is what I would like to see, even though if I cannot change it, that's what I would like to see in families or young generation, to be careful of their money. But again, I have no control. We have no control about that, right? They would like the fanciest car, and then they'll be paying this for 8 years. But then you're looking at 8 years of your life is your stress. So I would like that to be changed and say settle for less and save more for a rainy day. I think that will help if it gets changed that way, but I know it won't, because people live differently now, right? 10 years back. So I don't know if that could change their life.
Wow. Honestly, Sally, I'm inspired.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so very much for this inspirational engagement that I've had with you. On behalf of my team, I want to say a very big thank you once again. Please, can I get a hug?
Sure. I am so thankful that we met, and hopefully
Thank
I
you.
could help.
Thank you.